so gratifying to see a full consensus on the declaration. But also, what is relevant this morning is that the data occupies a very center stage in many declarations of this meeting. And I was just looking at that the term data appears 18 times in the document. It tells the importance the whole globe has recognized that it is something we need to all work together. And I thought it sums up the aspirations of the world, because G20 covers almost 85%. If I read the 3 declaration statements, because that almost is the theme of this meeting, and in many ways, actually this session, this conference is the first action point on G20 declaration. We can declare that India International Center has taken the lead with the other 3 partners to really the first action point on how to actualize what has been decided by the leaders. So I thought it is good to sometime read these statements, even though you might have read yesterday and day before. There are 3 paragraphs which focus on the data, which are important, which I thought was very important. Recognize the role of digital transformation, AI, data advances, and the need to address digital divides. So we endorse the G20 principles on harnessing data for development, D4D, and welcome the decision to launch data for development capacity building initiative and other existing initiatives. So this is something which will be done. Hopefully by November, we'll have some report on that. And second, one of the paragraph, it says, technology can enable rapid transformation for bridging the existing digital divides and accelerate progress for inclusive and sustainable development. Digital public infrastructure, which was alluded to by Ambassador Saran, as an evolving concept and a set of shared digital systems built and leveraged by both the public and private sectors, based on secure and resilient infrastructure, can be built on open standards and specifications, as well as open source software can enable delivery of services at societal scale. In our voluntary efforts to make digital public infrastructure interoperable, the keyword is interoperable, we recognize the importance of data free flow with trust and cross-border data flows while respecting applicable legal frameworks. We also affirm the role of D4D. The rapid progress, another para which I will read and stop with that. The rapid progress of AI promises prosperity and expansion of the global digital economy. It is our endeavor to leverage AI for the public good by solving challenges in a responsible, inclusive, and human-centric manner, while protecting people's right and safety. To ensure responsible AI development, deployment, and use, the protection of human rights, transparency and explainability, fairness, accountability, regulation, safety, appropriate human oversight, ethics, biases, privacy, and data protection must be addressed. To unlock the full potential of AI, equitably share its benefits and mitigation risk, we will work together to promote international cooperation and further discussions on international governance for AI. So it actually says everything what we are aiming to achieve in this conference and how do we implement. And a lot of very, very good points have been made in the last half an hour or so. I will not repeat it, but just to again reiterate that the point which Ajit made, the local nature of the data, in many instances, it is absolutely essential, as was shown to us by COVID-19. Multidisciplinary approach, again, extremely important, because whatever you do in astronomy data is equally applicable when you look at the medical data. And what we need actually is, uh, how do we take care of different formats of the data in different domains. So I hope at some stage, some discussion can be had that can we talk of formatting or some not regulation is the wrong word, some acceptance of data which is really interoperable across the domains, be it astronomy, be it medical science, be it finance data, and so on. And this is, I'm sure, you will be looking at, because extensive use of metadata, which is necessary, and we need to see how we can have seamless exchange of data. So the other point, which again, which was made, that we need to develop policies for making the data available in a timely manner. So this timely is important, because if the data, when you need it, it's not available, and you have to struggle before you really get to it, that is not very helpful. So time is money, and the timely availability of the data is absolutely essential. And this we need to see through data centers, and we must make sure that all the data which is obtained through public funding is available on fair terms, and respecting all the issues of privacy. Because recently we also know that MITI has formed committees and have also done specific consultations for creating open data governance mechanism in India. And you know that recently the DPDP, Digital Personal Data Protection Bill, has been passed with intent to safeguard the all age citizens' personal data. Now, this DP Act only applies to all kinds of personal data, whether collected in digital form or non-digital data, and which is, of course, digitized later if it is not digital. And we need to see techno-legal consent data sharing mechanism in India. So this is something, a lot of work has to be done on the bill to see how do we have the consent, which is an informed consent and not a blind consent. And this is, I think, a lot of work needs to be done, how to do it, because when you have such a vast population, and when we, even the educated people like me, we agree in our anxiety to use an app immediately without reading all the document. This is something has to be simplified. We need to see what is the most essential part of that agreement which we are signing, which most of us do not care to read. So this is something I think should be deliberated, and some recommendations should be made. So I think this conference is really very timely, looking at all the issues in the data policies, platforms, and so on. And the last part of the conference, which I noticed, was the digital twin roundtable, which is again very interesting, because this metaverse has been very fascinating for many of us. And I'm really sure it will go a long way. I first heard of this almost 2 years back, or maybe 3 years back, when the Seoul digital twin was made available. I think it was 2021. Ajit may be right, or 22. This Seoul digital twin was released, and it was fascinating. And now I understand maybe the Pune will be the next one in India, where you will have the digital twin city. This thing, it really tells you how to really plan the things. And I understand even the chemical plants will have the digital twins. So all that really augurs very well. And this, I'm sure this deliberations in conference will really go a long way in looking at the roadmap which is suitable for Indian ecosystem. Though we are, of course, part of the globe, but we also have to see what really works for us with such a diverse population, diverse cultures, and so on. So in that context, what might be interesting to look at, that last year we have this traditional digital library, traditional knowledge digital library, TKDL, has been released by CSIR. I'm sure you would have looked at it. Enormous amount of data. Question is that data in this form which can be absorbed with our other knowledge? Because this traditional knowledge has not been usually in the same stream as the other knowledge which we talk of. So even in our recent G20 meeting, where we had this chief science advisor roundtable, one of the theme was this diversity, equity, and accessibility. And there we talked of the traditional knowledge, of course, applying all the yardsticks of scientific evaluations and so on. But we need to see how it can be done. And there cannot be a better way but for looking at in this data, which is really not so easily available. So I will really see that in Indian context, when this TKDL has become available, can it be brought in our framework of that data system, which I'm sure Ayush Ministry and Health Ministry and Agriculture, all those things will be interested, and we can learn from the traditional knowledge. So this is something, again, it's happening. This has just happened 2 years back. So I wish you all the very best for this conference, and I'm sure you are making the right moves just immediately after G20. Thank you very much.